Okay, grade threes. We are going to be working today on using multiplication charts. This is on page 187 in 3.1 book, page 187. And we're going to start with that. So it's going to be fun. So during this explanation, I'm going to be talking about the word row, which are rows go horizontally this way, and columns that go up and down vertically. And we've talked a lot about arrays in the past. And you know that an array has rows of dots and columns. And in this example, our array has 3 rows. So that is 3, and it has 4 dots in a row. So 3 groups of 4. And that's the one we never forget, 12. And I'd just like you also to remember that the answer to a multiplication question is called the product. So 12 is the product. It's the answer to the multiplication question. If a question asks you for a sum, they're asking you to do addition. And if they ask you for the difference, they are asking you to do subtraction. And if they want you to find out the product of 2 numbers, that means they want you to multiply. So as you remember with arrays, again, here I'm showing another array here with the dots. So I've got 1, 2, 3 rows, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots. It's 3 by 5, or 3 groups of 5. And we can write that as a multiplication, 3 groups of 5. We could count up all these here. We can count by 5s, 5, 10, 15, and we know that the product of this will be 15. And we're also going to look today at this. If I just put this over here, I've now built a little grid. And instead of dots, I'm going to have boxes. So I'm just going to take away all my dots now and just look at the boxes. And it's the same thing. I have a grid. I have 3 boxes down by 5 across, 3 by 5, and that is 15. There's 15 altogether. If you count all those boxes, you would get 15. So if you look here in the book, it is saying to count the number of squares in the rectangle, write your answer in the bottom right square, and then write the multiplication sentence. So they want you to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You write 6 here, and then you write the multiplication. It's 2 down by 3 across equals 6. 2 by 3 is 6. 2 groups of 3 is 6. Here, we have, you count the boxes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You would write that there. And then you'd see how many rows are there. There's only 1. So 1, and it's by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 group of 5 equals 5. Do that for all of these, and you're writing the number in this corner, the final answer, the product. I'm going to give you a few more examples. So right here, there it says find the multiplication for sentence for this rectangle. So the number of squares down and the number of squares across. So the number of squares down, there's 3 squares down by 1, 2, 3, 4 across. 3 times 4, that's the one we never forget. Okay, you can also write it on top of each other like this, 3 times 4, 12. And remember, the answer is called the product. Here's a few other examples. It says copy the rectangle, write the number of squares down and the number of squares across, then write the multiplication sentence. So let's look at this. For A, write the number of squares down, 1, 2, 2, groups of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. That's one of the doubles. We know that 2 5s is 10. We could count this all, or you might just know it. B here. How many rows go down? 1, 2, 3. And how many are across? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 groups of 7. If you don't know what the answer is, you can count up all these boxes, but it's better to remember to try to memorize. If you do know what 2 groups of 7 are, that means you know this many and this many, which is 14, and then you can just continue counting. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. But ultimately you want to remember that and just know that 3 groups of 7 is 21, and that's by practicing. So what I'm showing you here now is the same as what we were showing you, the boxes. And this is a multiplication chart. And they make it a little easier in the multiplication chart because they put the numbers across the top and bottom, just so you know it's how many down it is and how many across it is. You don't have to count it all. So here it says, let's find a 3 by 4 by drawing a rectangle on the grid. Okay, so I have an example here. And I'm going to show you how you do this. So 3 is here, 3 by 4. So I'm going to write, I go down 3 and across 4. Now I could be with my fingers in the space, but I'm making a box around the space. So that's why I'm going there. And 3 by 4, if I continue the rectangle, it's going to look like that. And what's going to be in this space? This is 3 groups of 4. The one you never forget, right? 12. So there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. And it doesn't matter if you do 4 groups of 3. Either way, I could write 4 by 3. And that's also 12. Okay. So in your book, on number 2, on page 187, it says draw a rectangle for the product of the 2 numbers. Count the number of squares in the rectangle, write the answer in the bottom right square of the rectangle. This is exactly what I just showed you. So they're giving you the question here. 2 groups of 3, 2 by 3. So I go down 2, across 3, and then make a box. Where it stops, the corner one, is the product, and I can count up if I want to, or I can just know that 2 groups of 3 is 6. Here it's 3 by 4. You go down 3 and across 4, and you're going to write your answer here. And these ones, 4 by 2 and 2 by 5, you have to do the same exact thing. Now, the cool thing about a multiplication chart is they usually have it all filled in for you. And I'm going to fill this one in for you just now to show you. 1 by 1, or 1 group of 1 is 1. 1 group of 2, 2. Remember, anything times 1 is going to be its own number. So 1 group of 3 is 3. 1 group of 4 is 4. 1 group of 5 is 5. Now I'm doing the 2s. 2 groups of 1 is 2. This is the doubles. 2 2s, 4. 2 3s, do you know? 6. 2 4s, 8. And 2 5s, 10. 2 groups of 5. Now the 3s. 3 groups of 1, 3. 3 groups of 2 is 6. 3 groups of 3, 9. 3 groups of 4, oh, our favorite one, the one we never forget, 12. 3 groups of 5, 15. 4 groups of 1, 4. 4 groups of 2, 8. 4 groups of 3, the one we never forget, 12. 4 groups of 4, 16. And 4 groups of 5, 20. This one's going to be like counting by 5s because we're doing 5s. 5 groups of 1 is 5. 5 groups of 2, 10. 5 groups of 3 is, oops, sorry, 15. 5 times 4, 20. 5 groups of 5, 25. So when you get a multiplication charts will already have this filled in for you, but now you know how it works. Okay. So in your book on page 188, they're showing you a chart that's full and says Tony wants to use the chart to find 3 groups of 4 or 3 times 4. He draws a rectangle starting at the dot, like we did on the other page. He goes down 3 and he goes across 4 and makes a rectangle. The answer is the number in the bottom right corner. This is 3 by 4, the one we never forget, 12. It says use Tony's method to multiply. So they're giving you different ones, 2 by 4. So I go down 2. On this one, I go across 4, and I'm going to make a box. And the one in the corner is the answer. That's the product. Same here, 5 by 3. And then you do the other 2. I think you got it, right? Now we're just going to continue right on to page 189 because now that you've got the flow going, you might as well keep on going, right? And I'm going to use my little chart here to show you what they're doing there. So they have a little thing there. So let's say someone says to you, okay, can you use the chart to find out what 4 groups of 4 is? So what I would do is I go here to 4 at the side. I'm just going to mark it for myself. I don't need to circle it normally. I'll just put my finger there. And 4 by 4, right? And then I'm just going to go, so you can go across like that, down. And then I'm going to meet where this one and this one meet. This is the answer. 4 by 4 is 16. That's how these charts work. Okay, so here is a chart and it's just saying use the multiplication chart to multiply, and they're giving you the questions here. 2 by 7, so I go down 2 and across 7, so I'm going to meet where they meet. That's the answer. And so you're just going to do that for all of these. You might know them without even using the chart. Find the missing number. This time it's the same. Some of them are the same. They're just using the chart again, but sometimes they have, oh, it's something times 4 is 8. What times 4 is 8? So I can go over here and I look at 4 and I look for the answer. I know what the answer is. The answer is 8. So I know that it's going to be 4 and then I have to go up. Oh, 4 times 2 is 8. So I would put a 2 there. Same thing here. I've got to look. Oh, times 8. So I got to go find 8 and find the answer for this one here. It's 24. So I would go down. Oh, there's 24. So I have to go across from there. 3 times 8 is 24. Okay, so that's how you do that. Down here, you got to fill in the multiplication chart, just like I showed you just a few minutes ago. Put in all the rest of the numbers. Try not to look up here. When you're doing it, cover this and just see if you can do it. All right, and then on page 190, they're showing you a really big chart. It goes from 10 by 10, and half of it is filled in. And they want you to use this completed half, use this part to fill in this part. So that's really weird, isn't it? How can you use this part to fill in this part? Well, let's just take an example here. Let's look at one of the ones we already know over here. Like, okay, let's try this. 4 groups of 5, if I go down, is 20. So if I do 5 groups of 4, that will also be 20. So it's like a reflection. This side is like a reflection of this side, like a mirror almost reflection. Okay, 1 times 10 is 10. 10 times 1 is 10. So that one is going to reflect here. Cool, huh? It's like a reflection. So when you look at a big multiplication chart, you don't have to know all of them. You only have to know half of them, because if you know half of them is all of them. It's just a different way. You can say 5 times 4 or 4 times 5, the same answer, right? And then it says, describe any patterns you see in the row for 8. So you would look at, when you're done, you're going to look across this row and look for a pattern and tell us about it. Look for even and odd numbers in the column for 7. What do you notice? So you know all about even and odd. So you look at the numbers in the column and then say what you notice about even and odd. And the very last thing, it says compare the row for 2 with the row for 4. So this is the row for 2, this is row for 4. If you're comparing, you might want to like circle the numbers, any numbers that are the same in both, and see if that is something, if you notice anything. And that's it for today, guys. Multiplication is super fun, and I hope you're going to really enjoy it. But more than this, more than learning this, I want you to memorize those numbers if you can. That's really important. But it's good to know how to use the chart too. All right, we'll talk to you next time.